On today's episode of 100 Huntley Street, we've got beautiful music in the studio waiting for you, and we take you to the nation's capital to find out what happens when love is paired with compassionate action. It all starts right now. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street, friends. We are so glad that you're joining us today. Well, I'm celebrating because, Cheryl, it's you and I together here, yay, hosting. And then we're also celebrating because for many Indigenous communities across North America, Turtle Island, there is one baby buffalo that has just really changed perspectives and lives.
Yeah, a rare white baby buffalo born in the Lamar Valley of Yellowstone National Park. He's adding to the numbers of what is the last wild buffalo herd in North America.
And it's so important, you know, so many people in that region who are of Indigenous descent are seeing this as such a positive sign, because there used to be tens of millions of buffaloes, even on the continent, but as settlers have moved in over those years, we really did kill them off. I think that's the reality of the people groups coming from Europe. And it's unbelievable that there were so many, and yet it dwindled down to maybe just about 5,000 in the late 1800s.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately it was kind of a strategy, an evil thing, but it's being redeemed in our day. And even Yellowstone National Park did an impact study. They're going to increase the herd from 5,000 to 6,000, which is the first increase in 24 years. And that matters because that is actually the purest wild herd that's left, like the pure bloodline. And now it's growing.
Well, it's amazing because there were tens of millions of buffalo throughout North America, and yes, then there are so little. And of course, for Indigenous people, the identity connected to the buffalo, I mean, they use every part of the animal. It's part of sustenance, it's part of food, it's part of even clothing. And so it's a big part of the culture. And to take that step and to encourage reconciliation through helping to restore buffalo to Indigenous communities, it's so important. And it's exciting to see a white buffalo because we know that means that the repopulation is occurring in beautiful ways.
And we actually featured a story. So it's happening all over, this return of the buffalo, but we actually featured a story where a group of people, along with the charity Tear Fund, worked to bring a buffalo herd to Cody First Nation in Saskatchewan. That story keeps on giving because there's actually an agreement. So not only like bringing it to Cody First Nation, but when they reach a certain number, they give some buffalo to another tribe. And it is the gift that keeps on giving, which I think is so beautiful.
Oh, that's right. Well, we've got a wonderful excerpt from the moment those buffalo were released onto the land in Cody First Nation.
And the elders their tears were coming out of their eyes. They were hugging each other. The kids were just screaming and yelling. And when you can hear the thundering of the hoofs on the ground, you know, the animals just coming out, man, just like something came home that was missing for many years.
I just love what Chief Cody said right there, like something, like he was filled inside, like something came home that was missing. There's just so much beauty in these partnerships of reconciliation. And I think sometimes, like, you know, the buffalo may not mean something to you, but understanding what it means, you know, to someone else and then being part of that journey of healing, I think is part of God's heart for the world.
It certainly is. And I'm so honored and thankful that even here at 100 Huntley Street, we get to be part of that journey by sharing stories like this. And as you share them with your neighbors and friends, we can all take part in reconciliation together. You know, and this is happening all across Canada and throughout the United States where buffalo is being returned to Indigenous communities. We want to continue to support those endeavors and speak loudly about them.
Yeah, I love seeing, you know, love being put to action. That is the difference that it makes in people's lives. We're going to take you to Guatemala today to see the difference your giving is making in the lives of some, I have to say, pretty special little girls. You're going to love them.
I'm so eager to see the story, Cheryl, and so eager to hear your thoughts on it. You know, but first, we know that so many youth are experiencing homelessness across the nation, and our nation's capital is no different. Recently, 100 Huntley Street was on the road out in Ottawa, and we were able to cover the story of a very important outreach where when young people have no place to sleep or get a meal or even find a safe place to hang out, there is a man who has a quest to change all of that. Here's the story.
Beds are set up. Kitchen prep is underway as Restoring Hope sets up their youth drop-in and emergency shelter for the night. Located in downtown Ottawa, in the basement of First Baptist Church, Restoring Hope is a refuge for at-risk youth.
Every time we open our doors, we just welcome these kids in with open arms. We have a policy of not turning anybody away. So anybody can come in as long as they're within our age range of 16 to 24. And it doesn't matter if you're intoxicated. It doesn't matter if you've been sleeping outside for many nights, or maybe this is your first night being homeless.
That's why I was playing for 5 years prior.
We really put a lot of effort into connecting with them. We don't want them to come in and just sit down and hand them a plate of food and that's it. We really want to sit down and talk to everybody that wants to talk with us and build relationships with them and get to know them. And we want them to feel like this is a bit of a home for them as much as possible.
The staff is really kind. The food is really good. The volunteers are really helpful.
Derek found restoring hope after years of sleeping on the street.
So I became homeless in 2020. I came off an abusive family relationship, and ever since I've become homeless, I've been sleeping in the banks over in the East End before I came here.
These kids have been through a lot, and it has shaped those difficult things that they've been through have shaped their view of the world, or have shaped some of their behaviors. And the best thing that they need is to be reminded that they are loved and that they are cared for. You have a good week? Yeah?
Filling up, I was very, very thankful to be able to stay here, be able to connect with people, connect with the staff.
Scott first heard about Restoring Hope 6 years ago. He says the conversations with staff and his peers have made his experience in this space life-changing.
Be able to talk about what's happening, be able to seek advice, support, and just gain sort of hope throughout an otherwise hopeless time.
Scott recently found permanent housing after years of experiencing homelessness.
I have found housing. It was quite a while. I was sort of staying outside and receiving services, just hoping to be able to just sort of pick up the pieces from where I've left off.
Sometimes I have youth come to me after they've moved into housing and they're like, I'm just struggling for food this week. Can I get a little bit of extra help? And we maintain that relationship. And I'm glad that they feel like they can still reach out to us, so that they understand that the relationship doesn't end just because you found a different service, or that you found housing and you don't need the emergency shelter anymore. God wants us to love people, but in order to do that, sometimes we have to intentionally put ourselves in the paths of the people that we're trying to love, right? So I could say that I care about the poor, or I care about homeless youth, but there was only so much that I could do until we created a space where they could come and where we could interact with them, right? So whenever it's time to open our doors and I see a group of youth outside waiting to get in, I feel like I'm in the middle of God's will for my life. It's taught me a lot about patience. It's taught me a lot about forgiveness, and just loving people for who they are and meeting them where they're at.
What a beautiful ministry. And I just love what he said, no matter how people walk through the door, they are welcome. Yeah. And I think there's a bigger picture of that we need to remember as people of faith, or maybe someone who is on a journey, still hasn't quite made it to faith, but questioning, is that God welcomes us just as we are, with our mistakes and sometimes our mess. We have this idea, Lara, sometimes that we have to clean up before we meet God. We have to get things in a row, or ducks in a row. We have to get perfect. We have to get out of our addiction. We have to get out of our mess. And then we can turn to God. But the truth is, He wants us to come to Him right in the middle of our mess.
Yes, that's right. And you may be sitting in the middle of a mess right now saying, I don't know how to get out of this situation. I don't know how to make these changes. I don't know how to have the discipline to actually break free from whatever is holding you back. But just know that you serve a God who wants to stand with you in the middle of your mess, no matter what you are facing, no matter what even you're doing. And He wants to walk you out out of it. And isn't it the most beautiful thought? I always think about this. When I have problems that are too big for me to carry or handle, just going to put them at the foot of the cross and giving them back to God and saying, I can't even do this, not in my strength. But the beautiful part about that whole exchange is that you receive strength that you can't even explain. And moment by moment, God will continue to help you move out of your mess. And remember, don't let shame lock you into that mess. Be honest with God, take steps forward. And we have prayer partners who want to pray with you and encourage you anytime, night of day. If you're struggling, if you're feeling tempted, whatever it might be, call 1-866-273-4444. There is a good God who loves you so much that he will not leave you where you are. He will rescue you out of it. And he will be patient with you, so you are never at a loss.
It's so funny because some of my biggest spiritual progress has been made when I gave up. When I stopped trying to fix it myself and said, God, I can't do it. I need your help. And he's like, okay, finally, you're going to stop trying and let me do it. Yes. So don't be afraid to say you can't do it and ask God for his help, and he will be there.
Yeah, he certainly will be. Yeah. And sometimes, too, we feel like we have to do more or achieve more. No, we can just be content in who God is, just how you're describing.
Exactly. Reliance on God brings all the miracles. Okay. Well, the Apostle Paul, while he was in prison, had said some pretty surprising things. And what he learned could help us in powerful ways in the ups and downs of life. Here's best-selling author Robert Morgan with more.
There are very interesting stories behind every book in the Bible. And the book of Philippians is really the letter that Paul wrote to the Philippians because they had sent him a financial offering while he was imprisoned in Rome. They had sent it through the hand of somebody called Epaphroditus. And Paul wrote the book of Philippians primarily as a thank you letter to them. And so he says in chapter 4, I rejoiced greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but had no opportunity to show it. He said, now you've had an opportunity and you've sent the gift. I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. And it goes on to say, I have learned the contentment secret, or the secret to being content, which is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, how contented are you? What does contentment even mean? I've thought about that a lot. I've studied it in this passage and in other passages in the Bible. And I'm convinced that contentment is quiet joy. Now, there is a loud kind of joy that is exuberant. It's like fireworks. It's like all kinds of enthusiasm surging through us. But there is a quieter joy that we can have. And that joy is like the purring of a cat. It's like a cup of tea on a cloudy or a cold or a rainy day. It's like a fire in the hearth or maybe around a campfire. It is that quiet contentment that we feel when we know that even though the world is not perfect and our circumstances are not perfect, God is still in control. And so we can just with contentment leave everything in his hands. That is a wonderful quality to cultivate. Now, Paul said that didn't come to me naturally. He said, I have learned to be content. I have learned the secret of being content. And that's when he gives us this marvelous verse in Philippians chapter 4. I can do everything. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. In other words, the secret to contentment is recognizing how strong Jesus is and allowing that strength to be infused into your circumstances so that whatever happens, you know that he is in control. And that kind of contentment is like sitting down with a cup of coffee or a cup of hot chocolate, an open Bible, and just regardless of what is going on in your day, recognizing that Jesus loves you. He is near you, and he has the power to give you this wonderful attitude of quiet joy or contentment.
With the world around us feeling unstable and unpredictable, the Bible offers timeless wisdom. Philippians 1:27 says, "Whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ." This month, we want to help you navigate each day with confidence and joy. We're pleased to offer the book, Whatever Happens, How to Stand Firm in Your Faith When the World is Falling Apart, by acclaimed author Robert J. Morgan. This book takes you on a journey through the book of Philippians, the Bible's ultimate guide to living an undaunted life.
Even when we fall apart or things fall apart around us, God is still working in and through those things in ways that when we look back and see it, amaze us.
Request this ministry offer with a donation of $55 or more, or when you become a new monthly partner. Call 1-800-265-3100 or visit crossroads.ca/happens.
So the book is Whatever Happens, How to Stand Firm in Your Faith When the World is Falling Apart. And boy, do we ever need that today. I don't know about you, but some days it just feels like the world is falling apart, that life is hanging by a thread, and we don't know what's going to happen next, but somebody else does. And this book is so full of wisdom, reassurance, and just strategies on how to stand firm when you feel like your faith is shaken. We'd love to get it into your hand. It's our way of thanking you for your support of this ministry. So please give us a call, 1-800-265-3100. You can also go online at crossroads.ca/happens. We're so grateful for everything you do to keep this ministry going strong.
Well, we certainly are. And, in the book, Robert J. Morgan talks a lot about the power of having Bible verses throughout your house. So if you're struggling right now, don't forget to put Bible verses up around that can encourage you, but also about the power of prayer. And, so for so many of our faithful partners who journey with us in this ministry, and the way you sow in, you make it possible for us to offer prayer to people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so people can feel a firm foundation and know that they're not alone no matter what they're experiencing and if their worlds are falling apart. Recently we had a woman named Doris who called the prayer line, and she was in deep distress. And they chatted with her, they prayed with her. God moved mightily in that prayer time. And at the end of the call, she was calm and she was praising the Lord. And really, actually, the prayer partner said at the end of the call, she wasn't the same person. So she really shifted, and that's the power of prayer. And we want to say thank you for helping us be able to pray with people day and night. We're at 14 million prayer calls now since the start of the ministry.
Wow.
And that's incredible.
Absolutely
So
amazing.
we want to say thank you to you. Thank you to God, and we're so grateful.
So now we're going to take you to Guatemala to meet some wonderful little girls full of hopes and dreams for their future.
When I grow up, I want to be a nurse so I can help everybody. I want to be an agricultural engineer because I went with my grandmother to see a farm and I liked it a lot, and that is why I want to be an engineer. I would like to cultivate apples, strawberries, watermelons, and cherries. When I grow up, I want to be a pastor. I want to be a doctor when I grow up, to help the ones who are sick.
Like many young girls their age, the children of Guatemala dream of a bright future. But in reality, many will never graduate high school.
Regarding the education level of girls in these communities, it's extremely low. Most of them reach 3rd or 4th grade. Some may even reach 6th grade. But the actual percentage of girls that finish high school is extremely low, under the 3%.
This is where I live, with my brothers and my parents.
10-year-old Perez Gonzalez is too young to understand that life for girls like her, in rural villages like this one, is often built around an unfair culture that places many disadvantages in front of them. With such little education and with few options, many of Guatemala's young girls are left to work manual labor jobs to help support their family. For Perez, it's collecting firewood.
My mom teaches me how to find the good firewood. I go with my mom to pick up firewood, and we sell them at 5 quetzales. We go near the lava. We also sell them by 10 quetzales. And whatever she earns, she gives me a little. My name is Yasmin Ariel Visures Diaz, and I am 9 years old. I have 2 brothers, and I go to school. I am in 2nd grade, and I like coming to church because I learn about God's Word and about the Bible.
For Yamin, her dream is to become an agricultural engineer, but she finds it challenging to focus on her future when her father is making home life very difficult.
He was not treating us bad or hitting us because my sister was burned on her chest. What I would like to tell my mom and dad is that they should come to church, that they should stop fighting, and that they should be happy. I am studying in 4th grade.
9-year-old Austria Alexandra Nandez Cruz aspires to be a doctor when she's older, but she's witnessing another aspect to being denied an education. Young girls marrying and starting families on their own, often while they are still only teenagers.
My siblings, one has 15 and the other one has 13. One has a child and she's 17. My other sister is 23 and also has a child.
But with your help, we can begin to change this narrative.
Girls Empowerment is doing a great job over here in Guatemala. It's giving hope to many girls that thought they were not able to have a better future. We're empowering them so they can know and change their mind and change their future and their family.
Through Crossroads' partnership with Convoy of Hope's Girls Empowerment Program, we are able to take a proactive approach to improving these young lives right on the ground in Guatemala. The Girls Empowerment Initiative works to develop life skills such as emotional health, self-esteem, and positive decision-making.
We believe in educating women. We believe that girls and women deserve an education because they are worth it and because they, through education, can help their children and grow to have a better Guatemala.
Won't you please come alongside us and support this life-changing work in Guatemala? Together we can help empower these women and young girls to live out their dreams, grow in hope and dignity, so that they can walk in confidence toward becoming the leaders of tomorrow.
Wow, Cheryl, to hear those young girls from Guatemala talk about wanting to be teachers or doctors, having these dreams in their hearts, and then knowing that it's not likely that they'll receive the education they need in order to actually have those dreams come to pass. I think about being a mom right now of a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. And if one of them wanted to be a teacher and I had to say, I'm not sure that you can do that because we're not maybe going to be able to get you educated to do that. It's so heartbreaking, and yet the change that's happening through Crossroads Cares is profound and incredible, and it's an honor to see what you guys are doing.
Oh, we just love serving these beautiful little girls. Change always does begin with mentoring, education, spiritual investment in them, and it's generational change, right? One to the next. And when I listen to little Yasmin talk about her difficult home life and her parents fighting, you realize having a positive mentor in your life telling you there's a better future possible, that just gives me so much encouragement.
Yeah, it does. And the program not only focuses on young girls, but it also focuses on women, which is very important.
Yeah, according to the World Bank, only 60% of girls in Guatemala complete primary school. Even fewer go to secondary school. So you've got poverty, you've got early marriage, you've got limited access to resources, which is contributing to this problem. Yeah. So our partners are investing in women who have no skills to provide for their family, and they're trained as chefs, hairdressers, start a chicken business, whatever it is, and it changes their future but lets them know that they are seen, loved, and valued. So we want to invite you to partner with us. Can you give us a call right now if this touched your heart and you want to be part of it? 1-800-265-3100. You can go online at crossroads.ca/cares. And thank you for caring about little girls on the other side of the continent.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Cheryl, for helping make their voices heard. Well, right now we want to leave you with a very special song by Brooke Nicholls. Here she is singing Enough.
When I'm done, you're where I and undone. Your love, it never abandons me. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. Oh. And I was lost, or at least that's what I thought. And you were there, walking with me all along, drawing close to every heart. You're the God who's never far. I am found in you, and you're where I belong. Your love, it never abandons me. And Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. 'Cause your love, it is my confidence, and nothing can ever separate us. And your love, it triumphs over death. Yes, it does. And nothing, no power can stand against. 'Cause your love, it is my confidence, and nothing can ever separate us. 'Cause your love, it triumphs over death, and nothing, no power can stand against. And Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. Yes, you are. And Jesus, you're enough. And Jesus, you're enough. And Jesus, you're enough for me. And Jesus, you're enough. And Jesus, you're enough. Jesus, you're enough for me. 'Cause your love, it is my confidence, and nothing can ever separate us. 'Cause your love, it triumphs over death. It does, yes. And nothing, no power can stand